Are standardized tests really the best way to measure a person's intelligence? We have always been told to ace our standardized examinations as it would make us the smartest. Standardized tests are examinations with uniform questions and answers that are mostly based on memory and not on how to apply it to our daily lives. It remains as one of the most traditional ways to evaluate an individual's comprehension on a subject matter. Nowadays, we have multiple ways to evaluate an individual's understanding. Hence, standardized examinations are certainly not the best way to measure a person's knowledge because they only test one type of intelligence. They do not cater to all learning styles, and these tests are unfair due to cheating. Among the reasons why standardized tests are not the best way to measure someone's knowledge is because it only tests people based on one intelligence. Intelligence exists in many forms. Examples of these forms are creativity, self-awareness, resourcefulness, critical thinking, and many more. These forms of intelligence do not rely on our basic understanding of knowledge. Based on a 2001 study found by Brookings Institution, 50 to 80% of year-over-year examination score improvements were only temporary. Clearly, we can see that standardized tests are unreliable when it comes to the evaluation of a person's knowledge. Needless to say, these types of tests will only examine an innate form of intelligence, while knowledge and intelligence are far more complex and diverse than we think. In addition to it, only testing one intelligence, standardized examinations do not cater to multiple learning styles. This is said because a majority of standardized tests are based on memorization instead of application. Clearly, this is based on the subject, but a large number of standardized tests requires students to memorize facts and understand that particular question compared to application questions. A study was done by two different junior high school teachers during the 2013 curriculum in Indonesia. And the data collected shows that 42.5% of the questions were based on memorization, 50% based on understanding, and 3.75%, 2.5%, and 1.25% were based on analyzing, evaluating, and creating in that order. This shows that the majority is based on understanding and memorization, and that there is a lack of application-based questions. Hence, standardized tests do not cater to multiple learning styles, as it is mostly based on memorization. On the other hand, some may argue that standardized tests are the only true and fair way to determine one's knowledge. This is because everyone will be taught and tested on the same subject and given the same amount of time to answer the questions given. They may be right to a certain extent. However, in reality, standardized examinations can be unfair. This is said because oftentimes the people sitting for the exam find ways to cheat, whether it be slipping a piece of paper with notes written on it, or a teacher who picks favorites and tells them in advance tips for the exam. Standardized tests are not 100% just. Based on a survey done over 24,000 students at 70 different high schools, a whopping 95% of students admitted they participated in a certain form of cheating. What this means is that standardized tests will not be fair, as students will find ways to cheat in some way. These examinations are not the best way to determine a person's knowledge, as it is impartial and not every student will be standing on equal ground. In conclusion, standardized tests should not be the only and main way to determine an individual's level of knowledge, as it is not always trustworthy and there are many elements that can make such tests unfair. Basing someone's intelligence only off a standardized test is not a responsible thing to do, as this can not only ruin the person's chance to get into the school of their choice, but wreck their opportunity to apply for a job. Yes, standardized tests are still valid to a certain extent, but it does not solely evaluate a person's knowledge. Imagine a world where companies and organizations only hired top scorers at standardized tests. Those companies would not be able to profit, as standardized tests are an unreliable way to determine an individual's knowledge. Instead, we should use a multitude of ways to evaluate one's intelligence. Thank you. Are standardized tests really the best way to measure a person's intelligence? We have always been told to